Good morning, welcome to today's class. Today's class is an entry-level Hatha 1 class. I'll be doing some things to begin with on your feet. You won't need much equipment. If you have blocks, obviously that helps in coming up and down off the floor in terms of practice. So I hope you're doing well. I hope these classes are really helping build your practice. If you're new to the class, everything is optional. You don't have to do certain things, and in my opinion, eventually everyone's practice will look a little different. So keeping in form is obviously something that we're trying to do, but as you get to know your body better, you'll understand that you're going to need certain things in order to keep yourself balanced and healthy. So if you ever have any questions, you can always email me or direct message me, and I'd like to help you as much as I can in terms of practice. So like I said, we'll be starting in a standing position. So when you come up and you're standing, I'm just going to have my feet about the width of my hips. And then I'm just basically moving the weight from foot to foot. So I'm everting and inverting the foot as I move. So it doesn't have to be a big range of motion, but I'm moving laterally. So as I'm moving laterally, might be stiff, might not have a lot of motion to it, and that's a big reason why I'm doing this. So then I'm going to come with my hands back behind me and my thumbs are hooked, and I'm going to lift up onto my toes for about 3 seconds, and then I'm going to come down, and then I'm going to come up. So I'm coming up. So if you're, maybe not coming up as high as anyone, but you're coming up onto the toes to strengthen the feet, and then you're going to lower the heels. I'm going to take the arms forward and I'm going to bend the knees just a bit. I say this often in my classes. So the slightest of the bend of the knees is where you're going to feel that the legs are getting stronger. So it's not as obvious as like a deep squat, but just a slight bend in the knees is really all that you need to start with. And then of course we can sit lower. Not that lower is better, but lower is going to start to help in flexing the hips and stretching out the back, but just as an example. So take the arms up overhead and hook the thumbs and go back to a bent knee position, and what you're trying to do is bring the tailbone down. So for back bending, squatting, some people really need more tailbone down and abdomen in. So if you have a big lordotic arc in your lower back, it's a sign that you're weak in your abdomen, and that's what we want to get stronger. So come back up to straight legs and come up onto the toes with the heels off the floor. So you're coming up, that's good. And then you can lower the heels and exhale, lower the arms. So as your arms are down, I'm going to take my arms up to the side. So when we're moving the arms, we're going to move the arms independently. There's other ways you can do it, like side to side, right? That's how I did it last week. But like a pendulum, I'm going to swing my left hand to my right and then take it back and then move it here. So rather than moving the arms together, it's good to move them independently so that you understand that you can move body parts on their own. Kicking and throwing balls, you'll see that you always throw it the same way. Not that that's bad, but it's good to get coordinated through the opposite side of the body, right? So just a few more of these, right? And then take the arms into a cactus position, make your hands into fists, move the hands forward, height of the shoulders, and then bring them up, bring them forward, bring them up, bring them forward again, and then bring them up, and then you can bring the arms down. So I'm going to circle the arms. So in circling the arms, you can pick one arm that's out in front. So I'm going to circle back and then I'll circle forward. So you'll need enough space. So maybe you need to spread out, right, if you're near a wall or something like that. I'm going to take the arms up and out. So push through the feet as you're circling the arms. And with something like this, obviously if you had an injury, maybe only a few is all that you need, right? But if you are a person that's looking for more strength in the shoulders or more flexibility of the shoulders, people really don't do this nearly as much as you should. So when I do this, I'll do it for a minute, 2 minutes. I'm doing about, here I'm gonna do about 20 repetitions, and then you can bring it down. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna circle the arms in the opposite direction, so forward. So some of the strongest, most able shoulders in the world are swimmers. So you don't, obviously it's nice to swim when you can, but emulating swimming motions, very, very good for the shoulders. So about 5 more repetitions. That's it. What'd you press? And then you can take it down and then just bring the arms down. Oh, it turned off? Okay, so with the head, just look over the right shoulder, look over the left, look over the right, look over the left, and then just look to center. Now you could keep doing that. That's a good motion, right? You want to be really thoughtful and feel what's actually happening. That's the practice, right? But I'm going to do a figure 8 with my head. So I'm going to lift the head, bring it down, take it up, bring it down, bringing it up, bringing it down, taking it up, and around. And some people like a full circle. Of course you could do that. But with the figure 8, you're going to find angles that you don't typically bring your head into. And that's another way that could help strengthen the neck and stretch it out at the same time. So just a couple more. Right? And then you can finish that up and then take the head back into center. Take the arms up overhead. We'll see you later. With the arms up overhead, hook the thumbs, bring your pelvis into posterior tilt, and then just slightly bend the knees. Again, this isn't the most dynamic position, but it's a good place to start, especially if you've had some back pain in your life. So belly's in, ribs are in, arms are up overhead. Arms could be down, right? But you want your glutes to be working, you know? It's a big reason why people struggle in their knees is that they're not really stable in their hips, and it brings a lot of excessive force into the knee. So like just basic standing, like balancing positions, it's a big reason why balancing positions are so important, is that it's going to help strengthen the glutes. So come back up to straight legs, come up on the toes, lift the heels off the floor, right? And then lower the heels, exhale, lower the arms. Take the arms forward again, bend the knees slightly, and then maybe you can get a little bit lower, like the height of your hips. So just a basic, chair sequence is what I'm using today. And then bring yourself back up. Go back to moving the feet, so lateral motion. And this is a chain exercise. So it's manipulating the feet, it's manipulating the ankles, it's helping with the knees, and it's also carrying up into the hips. And as you get more able, you're going to start to feel that it's actually moving the spine, it's moving the shoulders. So everything should be able to move as it did when we were children, right? And then come back into the middle. So back into the middle, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring a static pressure to the outside of my foot. And then I'm going to bring it over and take it over to the left side. These are really good in sneakers, so if it's too much barefooted, you could do it later today in sneakers. And you want to prepare the joint before you twist the ankle or you hurt the ankle, right? And then come back. I'm going to come down onto my hands and my knees. So when I'm on my hands and my knees, I'm going to push through the hands. I'm going to round my back into a cat stretch. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to look up. I'm going to exhale, round my back. I'm going to back bend. I'm going to lift the chin to chest. And I'm going to exhale. I'm going to round the spine. Take the hands over to the right side and look over the shoulder. And as you lift the head, it should be a little easier in lifting the head from the neck. Figure eights. Take the hands to the left side. With the hands to the left, you can lift the head above the left shoulder. And then bringing it back into the middle. So just round through the shoulders. Just round through your back. So this is what you're doing in plank, it's what you're doing in crow, a lot of arm balances, but it's very good in stabilizing the shoulder, so eventually transitions, right? So keep rounding through the shoulders and lift the knees off the floor. So you're up in a plank position. Remember when I said posterior tilt earlier? You're in a posterior tilt to the pelvis, the abdomen is in, the ribs are in. I'm just kind of seeing where I hold my weight in my hands so that I can get a little bit more balance. Just so that I'm not relying on one hand more than the other. And then lower the knees and sit back onto the feet for a child's pose. But I'm going to take the arms forward and I'm going to keep it more neutral. So I'm lifting my chest up away from my back, my lower back. So I'm getting more extension. So, thing with rounding your back, especially if you have a history of herniation, is it feels good initially to slouch, right? That's what people do, is people sit in sofas and chairs, and it feels good. It's like, this is what my body needs. But it's actually probably the worst thing for you. So if you have, again, a problematic lower back, you don't want to be sitting on a sofa like that for an extended period of time. Even for a short amount of time, you can get up and your back can be just not in a good place, right? So come up onto your hands and come up onto your knees. So I'm going to stretch out the feet a little bit more than I typically do today. And it's, if you struggle in hamstring flexibility or hip flexibility, a lot of it is based on your feet. So it's partially why I did what I did in the beginning, is as far as those motions, lateral motions of the feet. So you're going to come up into a down dog. You're going to round through the shoulders, lift the knees up off the floor, and I want to make it long enough. Just pedal it out initially. Just get comfortable, just get used to your pose. When you're pedaling it out, you're stretching out the calf muscles. This is kind of what I was talking about, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific in stretching out the gastroc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my stance a little bit longer, and I'm going to pull. So I'm going to take it to an effect where your heel's just off the floor, right? You're going to lift a little bit and then lower. So it's not like a calf raise, right? You're lifting and you're lowering. So it's actually a pull and a push. So you're pulling up and you're bringing it down. Just a couple more. But these are so good for the backs of the legs and into the hips. So bring the weight into the left foot. Sometimes I'll stack the foot. I'm stacking my right foot on top of my left, then I'm lifting. Partially doing this too, so a visual. So I'm lifting and then I'm lowering. So the focus isn't really to strengthen the calf muscle, it's really to expose it. So just do a couple more, lifting up and then lowering. Right? And then come back into your down dog and make it your stance. So I like a long stance for specific reasons. I like shorter stances for specific reasons. And in between stance is good. And then come down onto the knees. And when you come down on the knees, tuck the toes and just sit back a little bit on the feet if you can. If you're sitting all the way upright, fantastic. Then come forward and then sit back again. So eventually you can sit in an upright position. Spread out the toes so you have overlapping toes. This can be really helpful for you. So come forward onto the hands, take the knees up off the floor, grip the floor, round through the shoulders, get smaller through the front of the body, and take it up into a down dog. So in a down dog, maybe you can't back bend today, but I'm going to move you through your arms so that your arms are straight. So push strong through the hands. Pull the ribs in as you're in down dog. And then come forward, come through into an up dog. Lift the chin, lift the chest. Pull back up into a down dog. Right. Walk the feet forward. Walk the hands back towards the feet so that you're in a standing forward bend. And I'm going to roll myself up to a standing position. So rolling up, take the arms overhead again. Hook the thumbs, bend the knees. Just again, a basic Utkatasana. But pull the abdomen in. So if you don't necessarily know how to do that in the transition of the pose, you could start it, right? And then take the arms up. So you're really pulling in through the front of the body to stretch it out. And then come back up, come up on the toes, lift the heels off the floor. So when you're up, head doesn't have to be perfectly neutral, but the more level it is, it's easier to balance. You can lower the heels, you can exhale, you can lower the arms. And then I'm just gonna tip forward with my body weight. So I'm gonna come forward a little bit. So I'm loading up the front leg. I'm gonna keep my right knee bent. And I'm coming forward, so I'm extending, and then I'm taking the back foot up off the floor. So use a chair or use a wall, right? Kind of like anything when you're loading it, whether it be hands, feet, or knees, is you want to bring enough weight into the body where you can handle it. So let's say it hurts, right? I relate to people, I understand that hurts. You would want to take less weight off of the knee, and that's how you use a chair or wall. Then bring yourself up, and then come back up onto the toes, lift the heels off the floor. And then lower the heels. And what you'll do is you'll step your left foot forward a little bit, and let's say you're not a very coordinated person. Build up better coordination rather than just getting into your poses. Not that it's about being perfect, right? That's not the goal, and that's not my objective, whether I'm practicing on my own or I'm leading people. But if I'm bending my knee and my foot is down, this is still balancing. Any position is balance, right? But you want to be using your leg, quadricep specifically, to support the knee. And then you can bring yourself back up. And that's partially why I say you may want to have your knee bent when you're doing Warrior 3. That's what we just did, right? So come to the top of the mat, have your blocks with you, take the arms up overhead, and fold forward into a forward fold. So fold all the way forward, and then step the left foot back into a lunge. So the left foot is back, and the higher my upper body is, the easier it is on my lower back. So it's not bad to be low, but for you, you might want to be up here, right? Maybe you can't get that low just yet. So I'm going to take my right arm up to the ceiling, and I'm going to take it forward in space. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it forward, and I'm going to hold that for a couple breaths. So push strong through the front foot, lift through the back thigh, aim the left heel, that's the back heel, straight up towards the ceiling. Take the right arm up for a breath, then bring the right hand down and step your left foot forward. Step your right foot back into a lunge. Again, play around with where you're at in space, because you don't always want to be in the same position, right? You want to change your perspective, give yourself some insight. Take the left arm up to the ceiling so the left arm is high, and then you can take it forward overhead. Inhale, take the left arm up, and exhale, you can bring it forward, taking it back up again. After a couple breaths, we'll take it up, bring the left arm up, bring the left hand down, and step your right foot forward. So both feet are forward, you're in a soft forward bend. So you can hang forward into a forward fold. Step the left foot back, bring the left heel down, and come up into a Warrior 1 on the right side. So you're up in an overhead position, right? I'm going to take the arms forward and bring my left arm underneath my right arm. So I'm going to grab my shoulders, just specifically for flexion. So you're rounding, right? Which will help with extension. So just straighten the right leg out for a breath. Lift yourself up away from the floor. Go back to bending the right knee. Lift from the pubic bone. Take the arms down, take the arms up overhead. And again, think I'm standing in front of you so that the ribs are pulling in. All right, I'm going to come forward with the left foot again. I'm going to come forward into a Warrior 3. But of course, use maybe Warrior 1. So if I couldn't come all the way forward into Warrior 1, I'd periodically straighten my leg out. So when I come forward. So when I have people in my class I know they really struggle or they hurt in their knee. I may not do this so much just because, one, I don't want them to keep repeatedly hurting themselves, but two, I know that it may not be helping them. You know, I wish it was just that simple, just keep doing it, but some things you really just don't want to do initially. Come back up into a warrior one, couple deep breaths. You're turning your upper body to the right. You could be looking up, and then straighten the right leg out, open up the stance, make it nice and long and wide. Think of lifting the thighs away from the floor, right? And then bring the right form on the right thigh. So moving the pelvis along with the torso can be really helpful. Take the left arm up, you can bring it forward. So I'm trying to make myself smaller in space, right? Ribs are in. Take the left arm up to the ceiling, bring yourself back up, and bring your hands to the floor. Take the back heel up off the floor and step the left foot forward. So both feet are forward, you're in a soft forward bend. Take the hands to the left side, so you're forward over your legs. Take your hands to the right side. Bring the hands back into the middle and step your right foot back and bring your right heel into the floor and bring yourself up into an overhead position. So in these types of positions, you're hugging the legs in. Take the arms forward, bring the right arm underneath the left, get a good grip. Hands could be in Garuda, they don't have to be. Just the wrapping of the arms can be enough in terms of exposing the shoulders. So I'm gonna have my left leg straight. I could look up, I'm lifting. I'm trying to, square myself, especially if I have a tendency to turn out. Some people do. And then go back to bending the left knee. Take the arms down, take the arms up overhead, and lift from your pelvis. Lift from the pubic bone. Feel that the glutes are what's supporting you. Now take the back heel up off the floor. Move in stages. So just lift the heel up is, the beginning stages of warrior three. Bring it somewhat forward or all the way forward and take the foot up off the floor. So you're balancing on your left foot. Like I said, if you're not lifting weights, your glutes can get really, really weak. And it brings such an instability that the knee it's bound to fail if it isn't already. Come back up into a warrior one. And there's basic ways you can strengthen the glutes without having weight on your feet. Right? Have the left leg straight, turn the hips to the right, and exhale into a warrior two, and expand the pose. Some poses you're getting smaller in, and some poses you're creating more space, right? So bring the left forearm on the left thigh. You'll get to know your body more. So which side of your body needs to be longer? That's what you're trying to do as you're in asymmetrical poses. Take the right arm up, bring it forward overhead. Look to the hand. Take it up. Bring it forward. All right. Keep getting longer through the upper body. Take the right arm up. Bring yourself back up. Couple deep breaths. Push the legs apart. With yoga, it's becoming faster and faster. So you want to hold the poses so that you're actually getting stronger, right? Not just moving. Bring your hands to the top of the mat. Take your back heel up off the floor. Step your right foot forward. So you're all the way forward into a forward fold. Come down onto your hands and your knees. And as you come down on your hands and your knees, turn the hands out a little bit. Move the weight around. Move it side to side. Adjust the wrist, adjust the hands. Turn the hands to face one another or turn them in even more. And this will stretch out the forearms, the wrist. Like I said, your range doesn't have to be my range. Your pace doesn't have to be my pace. Eventually it can be similar, right? But it doesn't have to be. And then turn the hands forward and just bring the back of your left hand on the floor. So this is the hard part of your hand. So with it being in the floor, you're stretching out the forearm, top of the arm. Then bring the left hand forward and then bring the back of the right hand on the floor. You can move it around. the more I move my body away from my hand, right, hips back or to the side, is really when you're going to feel the stretch in the hand. So again, round through the shoulders, tuck the toes, lift up into plank, go up into a down dog, right, come forward into a plank, and come down onto the elbows. So come down onto your forearms, gather through the front of the body, push through the center of the forearm. You know, for some people, it's really, really difficult. Maybe you're already down. Bring your hips down, and then with your hips down, you're in extension. You know, you're extending the front of your body forward. Organize your hips to the floor. Get your hips to be level and even. Look high over the right shoulder. Look high over the left. Bring the head to center. If you can, bring your legs more together and see what that's like. Right? If it's too much pressure, go back to bringing your feet, apart. But as you get more narrow, and this is whether it's this position or say like a down dog, makes it more specific in adjusting the spine. So bring yourself down, lift yourself up off the floor, lift your chest, lift your feet. So we want to use the arms obviously for extension, but you want your back to get stronger and being able to support your weight. Right? Come down, take the arms into a cactus position, and lift the arms off the floor. So if you can lift the arms off the floor, great. If you can take them forward in space, straight forward, bring them back into a cactus, wide shoulders, wide upper back. Take the arms forward. Now when my arms are forward, say there's a lot of pressure in my ribs, it's a reflection of how tight your shoulders are. Take the arms back to cactus, bring the hands down. With the hands down, contract your glutes, curl up into a low cobra, right? I'm going to do this a few times, so maybe this is the best position. Nice and low, come down, relax. Inhale, curl yourself up off the floor. Don't worry about height. As you come up, you'll feel exactly how much leverage you need, right? It's doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? I'm going to curl up again, and then as I curl up, I can lift myself up. I can bring my feet or my legs closer together. Not that you have to do this, but if you have a hip that is specifically tight or just doesn't move as well, getting the feet together can help adjust the hips, which with the pelvis will be more down to the floor. Bring yourself forward as you come down. Get really long as you come down. Bring yourself all the way down. Have the hands underneath the shoulders. Then just feel the floor, push into the floor. Come to all fours, of course. Tuck the toes. Come up into a plank. And go back up into a down dog. Right? And then come down on the knees and sit back on the feet if you can. Of course, sit on blocks, right? You can sit on blocks. You don't have to sit as I am. But getting, like I said in the beginning of class, adjusting the feet is really I think it's one of the most important things you could adjust in the body. And then, there's a long list to that. But starting with your feet is a great place. Now I'm going to make this into a bit of a series. If I could, I'm going to tuck the toes and sit back on the feet. And maybe it's just for a second, right? I'm going to sit back onto the feet, right? I'm going to come back up onto the toes. You could certainly have something in between the knees, like a blanket. I've mentioned this before, I've never made a video, but having a stick behind the knees is really a very painful but effective way of getting the knee to flex better. So come back where you're tucking the toes, or you're untucking the toes, and sit as best as you can in between the feet. Right? And maybe you're not all the way down or anything like that, but as as your body gets more used to these positions, you'll be able to sit lower, right? Not so important, and if my knees are further apart, it's much easier. Right, come forward onto your hands and your knees. Press through the hands, round through the shoulders, and we're going to go back to stretching out the feet just independently, all right? So tuck the toes, lift up into a down dog, and just paddle it out. Reach through the heels. All right, see which foot is moving better today. All right, just keep moving, weight from foot to foot. Push strong through your hands. Really push through the hands. Right. And then come down onto the knees and sit back again into a child's pose. Like I said, you have back pain. This variation is probably going to be better for your back if you have back pain. So I'm coming down to my elbows and I'm reaching my arms forward. If I'm even if I'm collapsing, it's going to be less pressure on your lower back than say, because you don't want to continue to round. But I'm going to make this into a series. Push through the hands, lift through the ribs, look past the hands, and then come down with the head, but keep the pulling in with the belly and the ribs. Lift your head if you can, lift your chest one more time. Right, bring your head down, bring the hands out and just out in front. Push through the hands, round through the shoulders, lift up to plank again, and go back up into a down dog. So paddle it out, reach through the heels, then walk the feet forward. As you walk it forward, walk your hands back towards your feet. Roll yourself up into a standing position. Roll yourself up. You're back up to standing. So just take a couple deep breaths. See how the weight sits in the feet. Is it too far forward? Is it too far back? Right. And I'm going to use a block to stand on. It's kind of a step-up variation, which is really good in re-educating the muscles around the knee and giving you more of a perspective. So a step, like a yoga block, is much smaller than a step. Like it's probably a real step is probably 2 blocks together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the block here, and I'm going to step on it, and I'm going to lift myself up. So if I have not the healthiest of knees, just stand on this. Don't bend the knee. All right, but as your knees get healthier, just bring a micro bend in the knee, and you could touch the floor. You could even use your left foot as you do this. You could use a wall. So I'm just bending the knee, tracking the knee in the same alignment as my right foot. I'm coming up, and then I'm bending the leg. One more time, I'm coming up, and then I'm going to bend it, and I'm going to come off of the block, and I'm going to be on my left foot. Like I said, on the right side, if I have trouble bending my knee, stick to just having your leg straight. So you're going to feel not an obvious stretch in the glute, but it is happening, and it's more happening when you bend the leg, and then you can straighten. You can bend the leg. You can straighten it out. Some people really lack flexibility in the ankle, and this is partially why steps are so difficult. So getting dorsiflexion back into the ankle is something I highly, highly recommend. So lower, and then bring yourself back up, and then you can step off of the block. And as you step off the block, we're going to do a tree pose. So have your left foot inside of your right shin or your thigh. Use a wall, right, if you need it. So hug into the middle with the right thigh. Take the arms overhead if that's good for you. And again, if it's easy, you're probably swaying, right? So you want to make the front of your body stronger. Like if you were holding like a handstand. It's really what you want to be doing in a tree pose. I mean, if you're going for like you just want a really relaxed experience. I get that. You know, that's fine, right? If you're trying to get stronger and progress, you have to apply your mind and your body. So bring the arms down, bring the knee forward, bring the foot down, take the right foot into the left thigh. So if you take it up and you hold it, this is good. You know, take the arms out to the side, bring them up. You could bring them forward and up too, but often people get, you don't have the flexibility in the shoulder to just take it straight forward and up. So out to the side is probably easier. So push evenly through the left foot, you know, get into the middle, make the front of your body strong, right? And you'll feel how that'll stretch out your body more. So it's not just the shape of the pose, it's what you're doing within each position, how you're applying yourself. You can bring the arms down, and you can bring the knee forward and the foot down. So you might need a wall for this. I'm just gonna stretch out the quadricep. So I'm gonna take my right leg up onto a chair or into my hand. Much easier if you grab the shin. You grab the foot, which you can, right? It's gonna be a lot more force in the ankle and in the thigh. So let's say you didn't have the flexibility in your foot, as I mentioned before, you probably feel it possibly in your knee. So any kind of range is a good range to start with, and then over time it could be a full flexion. You can bring the right foot down and then take the left foot up. When you take the left foot up, again, hold the shin just so you can see it better. If I'm holding the shin, it's much easier, and then you could grab the foot. So if you brought your foot up against the wall where you're down, that's a great example of this. But you might want to do it with a piece of furniture so that the foot isn't involved as much, and that's a much easier version. So like using a wall can be too much force. It's good eventually, right? But you might not be able to do it. So take a couple deep breaths, get yourself to be nice and tall, nice and upright, and then you can bring the left foot down. And we're just, just gonna stand and feel the effects. Not really what's used in modern yoga, but in classic Hatha yoga, you do a pose and you reflect, you relax in between. It's, it's more introverted of a practice, but it's a very good way of practicing. So anything that you do, you could lift weights, you could, be on a treadmill, go for a walk, and you can observe the effects and you can kind of refine them, make the experience better. So I'm going to come down into a seated position, and when I'm sitting, I'm just going to have my feet a little bit wider than my shoulders. So I'm just going to take the feet out, or the knees to the side. I'm going to take them up, move them to the left. I'm going to bring them up and bring them to the right. I'm going to take them up and take them to the left. So I'm going to bring a block over onto the right side. I'm going to go over to the right again. So when I go over to the right, I'm just going to do some pulses before I hold a static position. So I'm going to try to keep my body as upright as I can. So I'm pulling the leg into my chest. So I'm bringing it in, right? And then I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to bring myself up. You have problems with the inside of the knee. This is common. If you open up the skin, right, you basically make this area wider, calf muscle, the interior of the thigh. You make that wider. When you come forward, it's less force on the knee, right? So I'm going to come forward again. All this time I'm trying to lift my leg into my upper body. I'm trying to pull it in. And then I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to bring myself forward or bring my legs up. I'm going to take my legs over to the left side. And then as I take my legs over to the left, I'm going to come forward. If I need the space. So my right hand is on my left calf muscle, and my left hand is on my left thigh. I'm basically just turning them out, right? So that there's less pressure in the knee if I need that. That's just common, and it's partially why I'm doing that. I'm going to bring myself up, myself forward, and then I'm going to take myself up. So take the legs up, and what you'll do here is you're just going to have, you might need a cushion or a block to sit on, but I'm going to take my knees over to the left, and I'm going to sit on my right hip. So this area is often very congested, especially if you have some scoliosis. Have a block to support you, and say you were way off to the side like this. That's okay, but over time you'll be able to sit more over the hips. And we'll be here for another 5 breaths. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. They're a really neglected area, and it's a very direct and good way to kind of alleviate and expose these tissues on the right side. And then when you come up, you can obviously just lift the knees up and take them to the opposite side. So I'm going to take my legs to the left or to the right. My hips are to the left. So you could stack the feet. I'm stacking the feet. They could be apart. You know, there's a few different ways you could do this. Again, if you're off to the side, perfectly fine. If you're more upright, it's just more leverage. And you could use your hand on a block, right? But elevate your hips if it's, you know, you don't want to just, I can do it on the floor, you know, that, of course you can, but you may actually want to sit up higher so that you can relax and you can breathe, and you can over time develop, you know, this type of position. Right? Take a couple deep breaths. And then bring your legs into a neutral stance, so just an easy squat. So grab the wrist or the forearm, push the knees apart, just simple. And you know, say the 90-90 stretch, that's the first stretch that I did, you know, when we were pulsing and coming forward. You could, you know, just stick with that, but to strengthen the interior and the external rotation of the thigh, I'm going to use a different technique and to help you with that. So I'm going to have my right leg, just so that you can see it better. My right leg is in a 90-degree angle, my left leg 90-degree angle as well. So use your hands, right? Just for the first one is lean your right hand or elbow and take your leg forward into a cross-legged position, and then take it back, right? Now when you're doing this, as you get more experience, you can do it without your hands. Not that this is so important, but you get stronger and more flexible. So I'm taking the left leg back to 90, 90, 90, taking the leg forward into a cross position. I'm going to take it back. So hip flexion. So it covers a lot of things, and that's why I like this, is moving through space. And then just for a few breaths, just to get more internal rotation on the left hip, so I'm going to reach back with my left hand for my left foot. So I really need more internal rotation on my left hip, and that's why I like this so much. And you know, it's a right-handed world, you probably need it as well on the left hip. So come back into a 90-90, but on the left side. So have the left leg forward, have the right leg being the back leg. And just, you know, lean into your left hand for the first one, and just take it up off the floor is a good start. Maybe this is the exercise for you, but you could bring it forward, and you can just bring it out in front of the left leg. Lean to the left if you need it, take it up and bring it back, right? But if you're a person that can do it without your hands, you can cross the legs, and you might cramp up. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm cramping from this, you know, shake it out. There's really nothing wrong with cramping up. It's just uncomfortable. So I'm crossing again. I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna take it back. So internal rotation's happening here, and then down, and then I'm gonna take it up. And then once you lift the knee up, that's when you're gonna see external rotation. So it's like flossing the hip. Then take it back one last time, and just reach back for your right foot with your right hand. And as you're in this, you'll feel it's not just the hip that you're adjusting. Like I feel this very much in my back. So it's stretching out my back. Take a couple deep breaths. And bring yourself out of the position. And what we'll do is we'll do some twisting, but on your back, some stuff that I may or may not have shown you yet. They're a little bit more active. So if you go on your back and you're like, I just want to rest, I support that. I think that's great if that's what you need. But I'll do some different active variations to strengthen your obliques and to help you with your twisting. And then we'll do some passive twisting at the end. So again, I hope these classes are helping you. Let me know how they're going. And share them with people, share them with your friends if you find them valuable and they're helping you. I'd like to help more people if I can. So I'm going to sit, I'm going to lie back, have a block with you in between your thighs. So with the block in between your legs, just going to do a couple different variations. So I'm squeezing into the block and just initially just take your feet off the floor. And this could be the exercise for you. So if you don't have a lot of strength, just hug in for 3 to 5 seconds and then relax. All right, this will help strengthen the adductors. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the arms overhead. And with my arms overhead, I'm going to lightly bring my feet down to the floor. But I'm going to keep my belly, my ribs in. And I'm going to take it up. I'm going to bring it down. Keep the belly and the ribs in. Bring it up. So it's a really basic thing, but very good in building better foundation in the body. Like I said, if my abdomen is really weak, it's going to affect my shoulders. It's going to affect my lower back. So keep the belly in, bring the feet down nice and slow, and take it up. We're going to do 3 more. Bring the feet down. Bring them up. Keep the belly and the ribs in. Bring it down. Bring it up. And then last time, squeeze into the block with the leg, with the thighs. Bring it down. And then bring it up. And then just bring the feet down. We're going to use the block more, but just in a different way. Have the feet together. And have the block rest on your abdomen. And take 5 deep breaths. And that's so important that you move the block, right? But it's, how strong is the diaphragm is what's moving the block, not the abdomen, it's the diaphragm. So you can inhale, you can exhale. Think you're swallowing the block, right? As you exhale, inhale. Exhale. 2 more breaths. Inhale. And exhale. All right. And then what we'll do is we'll have the block in between the thighs. I like the narrow position. You have wide hips. It could be, so I either have it like this, but it could be, like this, wider. Might be better, right? But I'm squeezing in the block. What I'm going to do is take your arms out like a T. I'm kind of restricted because I have this wall up against me, but I'm going to go to my right first. So I'm going to lift up and roll to my right. I'm going to try to stack my left hand onto my right. And then I'm going to roll back, right? And then I'm going to take my right arm up, and then I'm going to reach to my left. Like I said, I'm a little restricted. And then I'm going to roll back. I'm going to take my right arm out to the right. I'm going to lift through my left side. Roll to my right. So left hand is over right. Roll back onto your back. Take it up. Roll to your left. So your right hand is over your left arm. So I can't do it like a T, but that's how they are. Then roll back onto your back. Roll to the right. Left hand over the right. Really great for your thoracic, right? It's good to be able to roll and twist. Roll back onto your back. take your right shoulder off the floor, and then the right hand is over the left, and then roll back onto your back. You can keep doing that, but that's really good in strengthening the abdomen. So just take your knees over to the left side. Take your right arm out to the right, and then you're just twisting, just basic twist. Allow your body to be heavy. So there's times, especially like if you're very stressed, right? There's times you have to kind of hold things together, but it's good to let down your guard from time to time. So just let everything relax. You're in a good place. We've had a lot of stuff going on with our house of late, like our apartment. And at the end of the day, it's just material. So it's really not that important. Obviously, you want to have a good home and a good life, but like stuff like that, it's things will happen and they don't always go your way. But it's good to relax from your practice. So let things go is my point. Then take the legs up. Take the knees over to the right side. As you take your knees to the right, you can take your left arm out to the left. And because I'm close to a wall, I'm going to push into the wall with my left hand. So this is a little bit of a different variation. You need something to pull on. That's good too. So there's a lot of good creative ways to help with your body, whether it be flexibility or strength. So turning your body to the left. Breathe in, breathe out. What you can't see is that your breath is actually manipulating the tissues. So that's the big part of breathing, is that you're reaching on a cellular level with the breathing, and that's a big part of what's helping you, one, to relax, but also to restore the tissues. So just lean back for a couple deep breaths. And then you can turn the head to neutral, and you can bring yourself back up. And then when you come up, did do a bridge today, but if you want to do a bridge, you could lift up into an active bridge. Could be a passive bridge. You've been sitting a lot. I think either supported bridge or supported fish are something that you should be doing daily. One will work better for you most likely initially. You might actually benefit from both, but it's a very good position because it's going to basically pull you apart. So you could have your legs forward, your legs bent. You could be in a shavasana. You could still be stretching. So just let your body be heavy. Let the floor support you. Let the tissues relax. Breathe in, breathe out. If you got to this point in the class, you did the whole class, right? It's good. It's good. It's very easy not to practice, but I feel so much better mentally, physically after practice, and that's, why it's such a big part of my life. Maybe you're switching the legs if one leg was forward and one leg was back, just to kind of give you a different feel, and maybe you were set up perfectly, right? So you could always go back to how you were originally. If you're a person that needs more time, right, take more time. If you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers, you can wiggle your toes, you could roll to your right or your left side, you could bring yourself up, and you can sit in any position. So you could sit cross-legged, or even just I wouldn't just pop up and stand up. I would take my time if that was the case, right? Just from being down, you don't want to get up too fast, too soon. But organize yourself, sit nice and tall, nice and upright. Think that something's actually like a big heavy blanket, right? And you're basically trying to keep it up, right? Just so that you're not slouching. So you can turn the palms up, you can slide the hands back. If you want to, you can bring your hands together. It's just a gesture of thanks. I hope you had a great class. Thanks for attending today. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how I can help you more. Have a beautiful weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow, tomorrow's class is from 10 to 11 and it's on Zoom. So if you go to my website, Jon Witt Yoga, you can register for that class. If you can make a donation, we greatly appreciate it. It's Venmo or PayPal, and it's Jon Witt Yoga. So it helps me support more people that cannot afford yoga at this time. So if you can support us in the channel, share it, it helps. All right. Have a beautiful weekend.